know, I missed you.
Oh my god. You are falling in love with him. Oh, yeah, you are. I mean, look at you. You're just talking and talking about him so much. Oh, my little Sophie's falling in love.
I hate you so much. You don't understand how much pain you caused me. How many times I had to pull my hair because of you.
Hi, this is Lilia from Lilia Creativity Photography, and I'm excited to work with you. Let's see what type of magic we can do.
Thank you for joining us on the Downing Cut. My guest today is an actress, producer, photographer, and creative entrepreneur. Can't say that 10 times fast. Behind Lilia Creativity Productions, where she crafts cinematic stories that blend heart, imagination, and real life emotion. She's built her career from the ground up across modeling, photography, and now independent film. And she's here to share about what she's learned about creating your own opportunities in this industry. Please welcome Lilia A'Hearn. How are you
Hello,
doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
It's the first time I've met you. It's nice meeting you. I think we are in the same vicinity as Washington State. And how long have you been in this industry? Like I'm surprised that I haven't run into you.
Yeah, well, I've been publicly around in terms of film about a year, but within photography about 6 years, and then doing this whole thing since I was in high school, so 20
Oh,
something years. Yeah.
yeah. So you've rebuilt your creative business from scratch after
hmm
losing your online presence. What did that season teach you about resilience in this industry that film schools rarely talk about?
Well, that's kind of how I landed in the area of filmmaking, honestly. So I already had kind of, I'd built my career around photography for about 5 years. And so everything was going very well, smooth, getting clients, ratings. I was actually in the path of getting a lot of my work published in different magazines, a few in front covers, and it was amazing time. And then, the next morning, check my stuff like I normally do, and there was nothing. I'm like, wait, what's going on? I checked my Instagram. That's where it started, the problem. Um, I was trying to be efficient connecting Instagram with Facebook. You know how when you post something there, it automatically posts to Facebook, and so it was banned. Something happened. I don't know if somebody got in there, but I checked and I got an email saying that there was some inappropriate pictures there, and I checked and there was nothing. And I'm like, "Are you sure you're talking about the same account?" And I'm like, "They're all family pictures." I like that's what I do. So I'm like, it was weird, and so I checked and there was nothing, and I tried to fight for my account, and for some reason I just did not get it. But because it deleted my Instagram and Facebook got deleted as well as my personal Facebook and two other Instagrams accounts that I had about just me as a model. And so, anyways, everything was gone. So I felt like be I was fired from my own job. It was a very sad, bitter feeling, years of work. And so I gave myself a few weeks, of course, of grieving and I was also pregnant during that time, so that was not helping with hormones. And I'm like, oh, great, this is like the worst of everything, because not just my social life. I mean, I'm a very much of an introvert, private person when it comes to my personal things, but due to my public appearance and work, I do have to have this. This is just the way work and business happens in my area. So I just I contemplated, and I'm like, well, I want to, obviously I will always be a photographer no matter what I do, besides other jobs. And so I'm like, well, let's start over again, but slower. And I'm just going to focus on just having really close friends and just take it from there. And then I came across this person who does film, and said, you should consider maybe doing a short film just for fun. I mean, have you ever done acting before? I'm like, well, I have actually. I've done a lot of theater work, and also work in acting in college. So I gave it a try. And so that opened the door. And then I'm like, I should look into an agency. And then I did have a one on one with someone who works in LA and kind of gave me really positive feedback about, just my skills that I have. And the look and everything. But I'm like, I was trying to aim going back really into modeling. And I'm like, well, 5'2.5" is not going to give me that supermodel. And having kids, things change. So I'm like, well, I know the safe spot is acting, because then you can do also promotion with modeling there. And anyway, so it just started to become a snowball, as we can see outside. It's snowing right now. And it just an effect that just kind of became a web. One door opened, the other one opened, and it just continued to the point that I tried to look into. This happened basically around September, getting close to winter. So there's not a lot of things happening
I mean,
already.
like last year?
Yeah, last year. Oh, I'm sorry. This December. So like
Oh,
November,
wow.
December. Yeah, yeah. So it started really, really recent. And so a lot of things were not really open because it's winter time and people already booked or everybody's cast. And again, there was not a lot of things here in Washington. So I kind of I'm like, well, I really wanted to go into Hallmark or something like that, in just to kind of start there because I really like the romance. And so I decided, you know what, if I can't find anything, I'll rather just do myself. I just do my own. And so I started to produce my first short film, and not even in the U.S., in Canada. So I just went there. It was some friends, and it did really well. And I right now actually have it still in the um, film festival circuit. And and then from there, I just started getting connected with other filmmakers. And hey, do you want to collaborate with me? And then a new film started to be born from there. But I'll continue with more questions. But that's kind of how that journey happened. So kind of land where I am right now.
Wow. Why Canada? Because you had friends up there?
Yeah, my family was staying there for a little bit, and so I went to visit. And I'm like, well, on Facebook you meet friends, and so there was a videographer there and two actors that I already connected with, and it was more like a short film, student film kind of thing, but it came out really artistic and fun. So
That's
there was really
awesome.
no incentive. I know it is cheaper actually. That's where I found out when I was filming. They're like, "Did you know that this is really Hallmark World, and it's actually really affordable to a lot of people from the U.S. come to Canada to film here because it's known as North Hollywood." I'm like, "Really?" I was filming and I had no idea. So, but yeah, my second film, it's in Washington. Actually, all my films have been in Washington now. But yeah, it is true. It is true about that.
That's fascinating. So you literally just started this last year,
Yeah,
2025.
it's just real life. Yeah, and as a filmmaker, yes, about for
That's
7 months.
amazing. Did you ever figure out what happened to your online presence?
No, they give you like 3 months to fight your case, and I did three. Well, I reached out 2 times. The third time it was just the same email. So like, it's just there was no way. I know that a lot of times you can take it to, do a lawsuit or to court, and I could have done that because it is loss of money, loss of clients. But I was just going already through a difficult time, and again, pregnancy, about to have a baby, so it was just like a little bit going on to overwhelming. So I just decided to drop the case and start from scratch. And I would say there's a blessing behind every curse, and I'm like, if that would not have happened, I don't think I would have been a filmmaker. I never dreamed of doing that. I mean, I did business school. That was my degree, business management and program coordinating and artist, so those things together obviously blended into photography, but never really, no clue about filmmaking. But of course, reaching out to my background, and also people that I collaborated over the years, have been models, makeup artists, photographers, videographers. So it's not, it is from scratch in one way, but there's also some building that I have had in the past that I reached to.
Yeah. Yeah. There was, ironically, I actually did, when I first got into acting, I did some photography shoots, you know,
Hmm. Yeah.
being 5'3". I wasn't going to run
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I
in
like separate.
public, but I could do photos. That was easy. That was the hard.
Yeah,
That was easy.
exactly.
So you've moved from modeling to photography to acting and
Mhm.
producing. What was the single hardest mindset shift that you had to make at each transition to be taken seriously in the film world?
Yeah. Well, starting from modeling, that really, I mean, especially being a teenager back in the day when I was like in my senior pictures, really, that's where it really started. But of course, I had that drama and speech debate kind of background that I used to do with theater. So there was the acting prior to modeling, but modeling became more of a thing for me. I realized as an artist, because my core beginnings, I guess, if, as a childhood, it has been drawing and sculpting and creating watercolors. So like that's where my visual, like the root of my art comes from. When I do artwork, when you can see my pictures, you can tell they're my pictures just because they'll have the signature look, like they have a depth within behind the eyes of faces. That's kind of my area. I'm more of a people drawing person. I actually have drawn three people that I never met in my life, and then I met them, which is like one of them is my husband, and one of them is my kid, and another one's a best friend that I met later on in elementary school, which is like the different aspects of my life, which is crazy.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, no, that's just a little something, um, but transitioning wise, in terms of modeling, I fell in love with the idea of obviously help confidence, feeling beautiful. There's always that transition with women, or not just women, but men as well, but especially as a teenager, like, finding yourself from being a youth into a big womanhood. Am I pretty enough? Competition, those type of things. So that really helped. But then, I was also taking pictures of my one of my little brothers, trying to get him into modeling, and I fell in love with the camera too. And so I battle between both, behind and in front and behind the camera, and I feel like I can do both. And but then as I was more modeling with more photographers, I found myself enjoying editing, and I'm like, I know you're not supposed to edit other people's work, but just for myself, I'm like, okay, this can need a little highlight here, this little color there, and again, it goes back again to my artwork. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm really liking more the photographer part and really the editing part. Honestly, probably editing is my most favorite thing. And so then I'm like, I'm just gonna buy a camera, let's go for it. And I think that's where I really enjoyed most is it's taking pictures, because I'm in control of creating my own content, setting up. It's like creating a film, a movie, but with stills, and you do it all on your own. There's no many, moving pieces with delegating with this person, with this other person, which again, I'm an introvert. So it does draw, I get a little bit like, okay, I can do this. But with photography, I'm like, okay, I can do all of it on my own. And I can show it within 2 days. You get to see what it is versus waiting months and months to see the final product.
Yeah. Yeah. What there's your answer was kind of loaded, so I have a lot of things to talk
I
about. So
know, I have so
tell
much
me
of
about, you said you drew your husband's image
it. That's
before
a
you
big
met.
fact.
What tell me about that?
Yeah, so that happened. Um, Well, when I drew my best friend, that was when I was younger. But when I was older, like in my mid 20s, I don't know. There's a lot of women, I would say every woman, but who dreams of your future husband or the big wedding. I had actually PowerPoints of how it's gonna be. I know it was so weird, like little details, like everything, months and like years ahead of time. But then I'm like, something just told me, like, just delete it all, just delete it, start fresh, and then you'll meet the one, kind of thing. And it did happen. I mean, like, I would say a year later, it did happen. So but I was like, instead of putting my energy in these PowerPoints or whatever, I just decided to go to the basics and just start closing my eyes and just drawing, just scribbling, imagining, and all these ideas of how this person would be, and like my hands kind of guided, obviously my soul kind of knows. And
Mhm.
and so anyways, I sketched it out, and it was just a guy, I didn't know who it was, but I'm like, obviously he's handsome, in some aspects of what I find attractive. And then, yeah, years later, I met him online, and I did not know it was him yet. And then I had a dream, and it confirmed it. And then I'm like, later on, I saw my picture, and I saw him. I'm like, wait, this looks so similar. I'm like, did I just draw my future husband? Obviously, then we got married, and then yeah, of course, that's what confirms it. Because I'm like,
So
it
it's
could have
kind of like
been,
a
yeah.
in between the spiritual realm and then the intuition and then
Mhm.
Past lives, soul tie. I mean, it's that's just fascinating to me. I'm just like,
Yeah, well,
that
let's just
is,
say that that ties into the feature film that I'm doing now. But
yeah,
yeah,
very cool. And then, how did you guys meet? Because you said he's an actor as well.
yeah. Well, he has become an actor now because of me.
Oh, he was roped
Yeah.
into it. Okay, got it. That makes more sense. Then.
I mean, the two become one, like whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You're like, you're gonna be in this. I need you to be in this. You're gonna just
I'm like,
act like this. Nope, do it better.
well, I'm like, if I'm gonna do some romantic scenes, I'm gonna kiss a dude. Might as well be you. I mean, you really look handsome.
Yeah,
Let's just put you there.
yeah.
I mean, kind of like a prop, but at the end, it became an actor. um, I
Start
know.
off as a prop. That is
It's
hilarious.
like photography.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. No, he's yeah, we met online, Catholic match. His degree is he's a scientist, so he's an astrophysicist. That's what he does. He start scientists
Yeah.
about the universe, specifically the planet Saturn. Does a lot of stuff, and now he's a data
Fascinating.
analyst. He's probably gonna say that's not what I do. Something with AI and technology. I'm really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
But anyways, that's what he does, and but he definitely supports me. Obviously, my photography so helped me with taking care of the kids with my gear. I think a lot of women photographers would that have husbands like, yep, that's what they do. Their job never ends. But then after that, once I started doing the acting world, yeah, I'm like, I need a guy, I need some kids. Let's just put my kids there, my husband, and of course a few other actors that I hire or volunteer, and that's kind of how it has taken off. Now he's like in 4 movies, which is really funny. He's like, should I get him an IMDb? I'm like, just wait a few more movies and then we'll make it official.
You're like his agent now too.
Technically, yeah, I am my kid's agent in a way, or manager, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. Okay, so you have this foundation. First of all, as being a model, so you were in front of the camera. Then you went behind the camera, became a photographer.
Mhm.
The question I have is, because you know how to utilize the camera and ISO and
Mhm.
exposure and yada yada yada. Are you the cinematographer in your films?
No, no, no. I'm the
Oh,
director. Well, the producer, primarily producer writer. And sometimes I jump in, and especially in short films as a director, I'm still a little intimidated, or a little, not would say scared, but not 100% for a feature. For directing, for producing, hands down. And I think the production part easily blend on my background as a project manager and as a photographer.
mhm,
It's like I put it like this: a photographer is like equivalent to a director producer, and a model equivalent to an actor.
mhm,
So that's kind of how it's a little different, but it has that foundation already where I'm holding in or grabbing a lot of those past experience and new experience that I'm learning, plus what I'm learning from other people that I'm working with. So not obviously not all of this has been done on my own. There's been a lot of network that has been supporting me here and there, and it just becomes a foundation for me to stand on, and also confirmation like what I'm doing is good. I have been complimented before, which I am like, again, first time doing this, and I'm like, I'm just using what I've learned from my other work and plus my photography. But some things that I've heard before as a great little, because I work with little rewards. I'm like, I was an A student. I mean, like a nerd, and back in my past there, I mean, at work when I was at school. And I'm like, if I don't get a gold star, I cannot do my next work. I need to have like, I'm like this little puppy. I need to have my biscuit in order for me to do the next trick. Um, so, yeah. So one of the things have been said that I've been very, you're a really good producer in terms of being efficient, organized. You really know what you're doing, which is I'm like, it's pure. I want to say it's luck, but it's also a lot of hard work, a lot of work. I'm a workaholic. I do go to bed at 2 a.m. a lot. It's not healthy for me. I know. I got to work on that. But I guess it's just when you're passionate about something, and that goes with anything I do. I mean, like passionate with like finding that husband, passionate with like like I'm gonna find you. It's like that upsets a girlfriend, not to that degree, but also with my photography, like that artist, I think that's where like creativity, Lilia creativity comes into, the creative part. I think it's just when you find your passion, whatever it is, like you do it because it's fun, and of course money comes with it, but that's not the objective.
right.
Yeah.
So what do you ever like from a lens though, because you have that experience as a photographer, do they
Hmm.
ever go to you as the producer and go, hey, do you want to check the image out? Do you want to
Oh,
see what the
absolutely.
scene looks like? And
Yeah.
then you give them the input?
Yeah, and I think that's where it blends into a little bit of the directing part, where I'm like, well, I'm starting to feel a bit more confident to jump into other people's projects because I think when you're the writer, you know what you want. You have the vision, you even know how to cast because you can sense the person you want them to be in your film. It's not just any person. Like there's a specific, and again, I don't really go. Sure, there's the look, which a lot of people go into, but it's also like the personality, like you can have two guys that literally look the same and they have similar personalities, but there's one that has this thing that the other one doesn't, and that's where the casting part comes, and that's where the intuition, where I gravitate towards. I mean, I do have casting directors, but I do kind of send, hey, these are the people I want, and then like the ones that I'm not like too. I mean, they're important obviously in the film, but they're not like make it or break it kind of deal. I'm like, you can cast whoever, but when it comes to the leads or a very specific person, I have to have control over that. um so but um but yeah, they definitely show me like, hey, do you like this? Is this where you envision? And so far the people I work with have been really good. I know that maybe in the Hollywood stage, if I ever get in that level or whatever, it might be different, I don't know. But so far I have had really great experience here in Washington, and I would say, in Canada, very friendly people who, like, even if it's not their project, they'll just jump in and help you out, or support you, or tell you like who to talk to, which has been a really great blessing. Honestly, that's probably what has speed up the process, as opposed to being in a different state. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're developing a new film under Lilia Creativity Productions, what specific elements tell you a story's worth investing your time and money and reputation in?
Mm, well, how I said, like the films that I've done have been just the ones that I have written. So I think I'm a natural salesperson. I don't really label myself as that. I have done sales, but I think that when you are passionate about something, as I mentioned earlier, it's really easy to pitch something. Because they see the enthusiasm, refreshing ideas. I try to bring stories that are not that common in Washington. Sure, there's a lot of horror in here, and action, but for me, I don't really see a lot of comedy. I don't see a lot of romance, or fantasy with comedy, like, things that are a little bit different. So those are the things that kind of make a little bit of a stands out. So people, when they see that or hear that, they're like, oh, I want to jump into that. So
Why do you think that is?
because it's new, there's a potential market that hasn't really been explored. People like challenge. It is something different that they haven't done before, and then there's always that what if possibilities, which is my motto. It's like, what if I do this? And a lot of times it works, so I go with that. I go with my gut feeling.
So as someone who's been both in front and behind the camera, what do you wish that emerging filmmakers understood about directing actors that would instantly elevate their performances on low budget sets?
Hmm. Well, one thing I've learned from other directors. Now, again, I'm not putting myself as a director out here. I'm more of a producer, writer, but I do put the directing hat when I see the vision, because connecting to the writing part. If I wasn't a writer, it would be a little different story. But because I'm a creator, I have to see also, like, I'm like, if it's not art, it doesn't work. Um, I'll probably hold on to that question really quick because it's gonna tie to this one. Yeah, no, I please remind me again because I might forget. My mind is
Yeah.
like this; it just goes on. But there are four pillars. I guess this could be correct connected to the directors, and emerging students in the film industry. But there are four pillars for me personally, that if it's not there, I feel like it doesn't work. But this is just for my personal, experience in terms of filmmaking and my stories. But it's like, you want to have a really good DP. Not just like they're good with a good camera and in a vision, but they're also like they in tune with the writer or producer. I mean, if you're the writer is the producer, then it's just one person. But if it's two different people, those two people need to be in tune with the DP. The next is the director. The director, they're the vision. They're the ones who show what the film, like they get to interpret those letters, that script into visuals. So they need to be also in tune with the writer, and the DP. So again, you start to create this group, like your core group. They have to be not challenge you, I mean challenge you as in like change what you know, like when you create an art and they say, no, I think the nose looks weird, let's change it. I think the eyes look, let's change it. I'm like, no, they have to appreciate that and accept it and see how they can elevate it into a better level instead of like changing things. Sure, there's improv and modification, that's fine, but completely changing the core of the film, no. The next one is actors. You know, you want to have, I believe that actors who are starting should have an opportunity, you know, with a very small one line or background, just to be immersed into something big. Um, sure, I would say, you know, if you're starting as an actor like me, you know, you do a lot of short films, get yourself credit, but it's not just about credit. It's getting really good short films. Get yourself out there, get experience, and then start to shop around to where people who produce films are really good with their film, because that becomes a strong reel, and then that definitely will help you to get into actual, you know, SAG or big films out there. So if you're an actor, like, you know, think in that direction. Same thing with modeling. I know I started to get pictures with different photographers who are starting in different ranges, and then eventually start to be very selected to those who are already in a higher age, you know, with a higher edge, more artistic, and then, you know, then people, my pictures start to look way better, and then people who are in the very top start saying, hey, would you love model for this company like Zulily, which is obviously, I don't think it exists here anymore, but I think it does in Oregon. But then, you know, then from there you go further up, further up. But of course, I stopped for personal reasons. Well, one, because I was getting married, and I changed my path. But I could have kept going further up that direction. But that same thing applies to actors. All right, so that's the third is you want to make sure that you bring actors who know how to act, who are also who are in control of their personality, who are, you know, as a director, you need to let them know your vision, but also let them, they're humans, they're organic, they'll bring something different that you don't think that can happen. Things can change a little bit on set than what you originally had in mind. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not, and that's where you could get to direct them where it aligns to your vision. And if it's better, let them. So that's the third. And then the fourth is editing, again, because I'm an editor with photography. If you don't have a good editor, and it's not just editing, it's the color palette, you know, those presets in your photography, those color palettes that you have in your the tones that really gives off, because literally sound design, the sound effect, well, sound and the tones of color plus the emotions of the actors, it really pulls out that script into life. And if you don't have those really good coloring in there, the cinematic, you know, artistic thing element to it, it just doesn't look good. It looks like a really low budget film, if you know what I mean. So you want to
I
disguise it
do.
as a really high end budget film, you know, by really putting a lot of work and really selecting your editors, or if they're learning to really sit in. And I feel like a lot of times, I don't know, um, I have seen that that's not a very lot of strength in here. So you know, as a editor, sorry, as a producer with a director hat, that's where I like to sit down with the editors and really have this strong communication. And strong by meaning I create a list. You know, this is what I'm doing with my feature. I'm creating a list with my trailer. It's specifically how I want it. I give them samples of other YouTube videos that kind of align to the vision what I have, sounds that goes with it, and you know, we have this conversation. We're going to be going back and forth until where I see like, okay, this is it. Then we show it to the public, because when the public sees it, they see the potential, investors see the potential, and there's money, you know, there could be money there. And then also your image is attached to that, so then in the future when you do another feature or film or short film, people know your work, they know your signature.
Yeah.
So those are the four pillars for me.
You describe your work as emotional and cinematic. Can you walk us through a
Mhm.
concrete example of a scene that you produced where the creative risk paid off and
Oh
what you
yeah,
learned from that risk?
this actually happened a week ago. so so I was producing, you know, again, going back to the feature that I'm doing, we did a trailer. Right now it's in the process of being edited, and there's going to be conversations, a lot happening in the next following weeks to make sure it aligns to my vision. But this was funny because we did, so you know, I'm like, I close my eyes and I'm like, okay, if I were to envision this film, what are the four or three things? Because again, you know, you want to create a sizzle that's 30 seconds, not too long, you know, because you want to grab the attention right away. So I'm like, what are the 4 things to stand out, or 3 things to stand out from this film? And so I wrote it down. I'm like, okay, these 4 things, and so those are the 4 things we're gonna film. 3 locations, few actors, and really focus on the like the details, because I'm a big picture person, but also I'm a very detailed person, and I do have to balance myself not to get lost in the details. So there was one specific scene, so I can give a concrete idea. So we had a gaffer or light person, and so we were in literally what's the word, um not jumping, but we were trying to use the real light element, so the sun, and light, artificial light, because the scene that we wanted was a man in a suit looking away. So so you're seeing the back of his head, really, you don't see his face, and we needed to have a light that goes right under behind his, like, kind of going right through his ear. And so originally we're in Washington. Obviously, every day is like this. And so we're going to probably need a really big light. And how are we going to make sure that we don't see the light that looks like a sun? And of course, I'm like, maybe we're going to have to do a lot of that in post. And one of my things is like try to have as much control environment like on set as much as possible. So then when it comes to the editing process or the post, it's easier because obviously they can do as much, but they can't do everything. So it's a good balance between controlling both parts. And so I'm like, so we kind of would say lucked out. Like the sun was literally setting at the time we finished, because it was like the last scene, because we had done everything already, and that was like the last thing. It was not even planned. I thought we were gonna go with with the fake light, but the sun just came down, aligned right where the guy needed to be. So we put him there, and we just like we did 2 or 3 takes, and I literally teared up. Like we all teared up. Like it was emotional, and that was great because I'm like, okay, if we're reacting that way, we're gonna see the public react that way. That's something else I keep in mind. I'm like, when I see reaction happening on set, is because people are gonna feel it, and I felt teared up. I feel emotional, obviously, because we were really capturing. Now, again, this feature is about my future, meeting my future husband, and my personal love story. That's literally like a movie, but we were capturing a tiny scene of a dream that I had. So obviously, I knew details of exactly how it had to be. So when I saw that, it just it was perfect. And so it was perfect. And then of course I was a photographer. I took pictures of it. I edited it, and then when I edit, it looks so magical. So then now I have a comparison to show to my editor how it would look now in a motion feature. So that's an
Nice.
example I would say. Yeah.
Wow. Many indie filmmakers struggle with building a brand and not just a film. How
Mhm.
has your background in business management and photography shaped the way you position your films and yourself in the marketplace?
Yeah, I think that where I am now, I think that I have had, I guess, one step ahead to prior to where I am, because I was already building a brand ahead of time without knowing that this is where I was going to go. But I was building a brand more for my photography, more for a model, and really marketing myself as an actress. The actress kind of emphasized more. But this one, so basically, um, you know, I know that I think that when it comes to like personal person or personal person on media, we don't really care a lot of times how we look, or sure, we do selfies or this or that. For me, I had that, yeah, at a certain stage in my life, and then when I started going as a professional photographer, that completely erased it. I had a lot of modeling pictures of myself to promote the potential pictures for clients, so that was already happening. The colors, the logo, and so I'm like, well, I already done all this sort of business style with my photography. Let's redo it again, but now with a different company. So one reason why Lilia Creativity and Lilia Productions is the same name. It's just one changes in the other, because I already have the CEO, or what's called SEO element happening already. So when you hear Lilia Creativity, or people who already known me, or Google, they think of a photographer. So now with the same name, but now we put productions. Now we're thinking, oh, productions. Well, we associate productions with motion pictures. So it's just that's kind of how that happened. And then of course my face is, it's kind of the face of both. I am my own business kind of thing. So with people, that want to do this, that haven't had any branding at all and they're starting from scratch, they got to think, do you want to be the brand? Do you want to be the face of it? Or do you want your logo to be the face of everything that is associated with a specific film that you're very, very proud of? That when they see that, oh yeah, I know that guy because of this. Of course, you're going to be known more later on, but that's just kind of your foundation. So those are kind of like the places I would start. And I would say also, I mean, if you're going to be in the entertainment world, and I'm like not saying that I need clients, sure I do, but hey, if you need a headshot, let me know, because you need to invest in a headshot. If you don't have a very strong headshot, no matter what you're doing, people are not going to take you seriously. That's the bottom line.
What have you learned about assembling the right collaborators? Let me start over.
Yeah,
Collaborators.
yeah.
What have you learned about assembling the right collaborators for projects like Starlight and You and
Mhm.
your other films? How can beginners attract strong talent when they have more vision than a budget?
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to remember this, show business, and their word is business there. Everything is a business. I think that there's a lot of people, especially when you're in a passionate project, which is what a lot of us do as indie filmmakers, is to not get lost in the passion. It's not a personal thing. Sure, it's your baby, we call it, our personal image that you want to create, or story. But one is you have to have trust. You have to trust the people around you, and in order to create that trust, you have to create friendships, collaboration. It's not just about, hey, can you do this for me? It's about friendship. Because when there's friendship, there is trust. But with that friendship, there's also a thin line of professional life where you have to have contracts. Everything that you do, for me, again, the business world, like, if you're going to do something with me, as much as I love you, sign the contract, because you never know. That's one thing to cover yourself. I'm like, cover your assets. That's how I say it. And the other thing is also, the people that you worked with before, or you've been an actor in. When I'm an actress, I keep an eye on the crew. I'm like, okay, that guy works well. I might recruit him later on, or I'm going to talk to him and see how, if we're compatible in some way. And then later on, I'll say, hey, are you interested in this or not? And so that's kind of how I shop around. I also secretly cast people when I'm on set as an actress. So I do use my actress, obviously, because I want my main priority is obviously to become an actress, a well-known one. But there's just, like how I said, no matter what job I do, I cannot turn off my producing hat or my photographer hat. Like, yeah, I'm always going to be a model, but my priority is this. But yeah, so I am definitely, and also we're a very small circle, I think, when it comes to Washington. I mean, sure, Washington's big, but we're all kind of know each other. It's easily to get blacklisted in a way, I guess you can say. But I don't want to really use that or get that to scare people off for myself. Because there's always going to be someone else who's going to work with you. They know your reputation. If you mess up in one project, it doesn't mean like you're a bad person or something. It's just that you did not work with that person. You were not compatible with that person. A lot of times, they're producers or casting directors, make mistakes, and they end up hiring the wrong actor that does not fit in that film. Or the same thing comes with crew. So you want to bring people in that, again, they're not going to challenge your vision, who are going to be, because look, you're already dealing with budgeting, and making a film itself is difficult. So you don't want to be challenged in your core group and your crew and your cast. You want them to be with you. So any obstacles that you come across is as a team, and as a team, we make it happen. So you said about people getting lost in their passion, versus finance. So one thing is, try not to take things personal. For example, if somebody, you got to think big. It depends. I mean, like, some shorts are just for fun and entertainment. Okay, then let's just say, hey, I'm making a non-union film. It's a volunteer basis. If you're going that route, I'm gonna say you get a very small amount of the basic crew. Your DP, the light, sound, very basic, 3 or 4 people, and 2 or 3 actors who really are committed just for the sake of art. But if you're gonna expend the bigger, expect people to flake or not be there, because people work with money. Unless you're paying them off with food, which is the very typical, and gas money. Okay, that gets me a little committed, sure. But then if you're gonna make a feature, you gotta pay them. And so if you're gonna go that route, start with the sizzle, with the very small thing, and then get the buzz going. For me, with the branding part, which we talked about, how I said I'm a natural salesperson. Sales in a way of talking, I think, but more of, because I'm a visual, I'm not the best at social media, but I love marketing. I like to promote as much as I can. And I can't say I'm like the best promoter, but I that's how I run my stuff, like just naturally. So then I easily promote myself. If I'm part of a film, I'm gonna promote your film just because if I'm in it, I'm promoting it because I'm in it. And that's, it doesn't mean because I'm the lead. Even if I'm not the lead, I'm like, even if it's a very small role, like I take pride in what I do. So that's kind of how it is. So if you're, it doesn't matter what small role is or small film, you gotta have take pride in your film because it's you, it's a part of you in there.
You expect on your films, do you expect a lot of the cast and crew to promote as
I do.
well?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually part of the contract.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, because I mean, you are, the film is the producer, writer, everybody who's in pre-production, I expect them to share or to promote whatever I put there. I mean, this is how I do it. Again, other people might be different, and because when you're a short film, you kind of are a little bit of everyone in a way. Of
Mhm.
course, when you have a bigger crew and you have the money, you hire individual people, then you have your actual person who is in charge of just marketing. In our case with Starlighting You, yeah, we do have a marketing team, a person who does marketing, another person who does all the social media. I do create the content as much as I can, and then I do have them create their own. We work as a team and make sure that we stay within the vision of the film, with the branding of the film. And so just because of the nature of the film is, it's a little bit more on the conservative side, we try to make sure that we keep in that way. The same thing goes with our actors. And, when we are on set, I say, go ahead, have fun, promote as much as you can with social media, especially the younger actors, which are also a very good thing to do, is bring in students because that helps you with grants. And also you're helping other students and people. I mean, that's what I do also with my photography. I always bring in students or people who want to shadow, or I mentor them. Um, but when it comes to that, I mean, again, my personality kind of blends with everything I do. It's just that's the nature that I do things with. But they're naturally promoting. Actors take pride in what they do. Some do, not all, but I encourage everybody. And so when you see a few people doing it, then the ones that normally don't do, like, well, I see that, I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do that too. Uh, and so, but of course, with a non-disclosure agreement, I do make sure that they don't overshare. There's a certain fine line to share behind the scenes, but then not the whole story. So again, all those things, when I hire, and this is what I'm doing is all my actors. I'm like, here is the pitch deck, here's the script, here's the breakdown of your character. Contract spells everything out, non-disclosure agreements, and a waiver. If all of this stuff are not submitted, you're not official until you have it. And that way, there's nothing that will back me off later on or might prevent me from distribution.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hmm.
So you wear so many different hats, like a producer, actor, photographer, entrepreneur. When new filmmakers ask you where to focus first, how do
Hmm.
you help them prioritize without losing their creative spark?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's the thing. Is that, yeah? I guess I want to say I'm a very specific creature, but because I do have the entrepreneur and I do have the artist, and they both complement so well that I have like this is how I work like this. It's not like this or this. But if you are like this and this type of person, and you're not very strong minded in the area of business, and you're more of an artist, right? It really depends on the question of what your objective is. So, if you're coming in as a filmmaker, what is the area that you're focusing on? I mean, are you coming as a DP, as a producer? Like you got to be very specific because then I can tell you uh, what to focus on based on what you're looking at.
So based
So,
on the actual being present in that moment. Yeah.
right, right. Because I mean, if you're coming in, it says, "Hey, Lilia, I want to be a director. How should I focus as a director?" I'll tell you what a director will be. Again, based on my experience, I don't know all the answers. I'm not gonna say I'm an expert person here, because there's obviously high end people who are more experienced in just as a director, are well known, and that's all they do, and that's great. I think that at some point, I'm gonna say this is exactly what I do. But the thing is, like, when you know a little bit of everything, maybe because I have a teacher sort of personality in me, it's kind of hard to turn it off because I'm like, I can tell you a little bit of everything. But yeah, my main focus, 100%, like hands down, photographer, actor, and producer. Like if I were to define myself in three things, that's it. But yes, I do have the entrepreneur work, part that blends into all these little elements.
Yeah. Do you think it's back in the day, they used to say just focus on one thing,
Hmm.
so you can put all your energy in that. But I see there's more and more people now that have that diverse skill
Hmm.
set, and they can focus on multiple things and understand how everything's connected. Which one do you? What's the advice you would give people? I mean, is it because you
Hmm.
have actors who that's all they do is act, 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 right?
Right.
And then you have others that have entered into the realm, myself included, where you're
Hmm.
like, I might as well just start making my own stuff.
Yeah. You make your own business. I think it's part of the market too in the world that we're in is that we have to show more than what in the past people used to do. For example, back in the day, you had to. I sound like old, but back in the day, you had to, just with a college degree, an associate's even, or high school. First, it was just high school, and that was it. Then an associate, that was it. And then it was just, and now you have to have like a master's in order to make it. It feels like so, but people, like that's just talking school way. But if in just in the real world with practical skills, not just theory skills, I do see that actually. A lot of in fact, one of the ways I cast people, or create my wish list, and then I give it to my casting director. Because again, when it's a bigger film, it's hard for me to be talking to every single person, and it's just too much. It's just too much. Sure, I can do it all in a very small thing, but it takes a lot more energy. And again, I have kids, and it just makes it difficult. But when I look at the IMDb, I see a lot of actors that are not just actors. Like a majority are actors and casting directors, actors, producers, actors, director. Like they have a lot than just actors. And there's a very few that are just actors. And I think that people who are just actors, especially if they've been doing this for a very long time, because that's how where they started, before this stage where we're in, where we have to be like five different people in one kind of thing, is part of it is we're hustlers. We have to, like, the market is low, and people have to have money to survive. That when, for example, with me, I'm like, if I'm not direct, or if I'm not filming, I am taking pictures. If I'm not taking pictures, I am writing a little storybook or something. I have to do something, because that's just that's just where my energy of creativity, my creative juice has to kind of flow out. Otherwise I go crazy if I don't do something else, because I'm just a creator person. That's kind of what I do. But for people, you got to find your person. That's the thing. You got to find out who you are. If you're not, everyone is capable of doing everything. Like I honestly didn't know I was capable. I think until I became a mom, because when you become a mom, you're literally everything in one. So I think that's really what kind of pushed me to this direction, because I just saw that my potential is a little bit bigger than what I expected, because I was kind of forced to grow in that direction. And then I saw my challenges, and then also my endurance, that I'm like, oh, I can do that. But before that, I did not really expect that. Before that, I'm like, I'll just, my job and an actor. I'm sorry, my job and model and photography, which again, it still was a little bit more than normal, but that was about it. So you gotta learn, you gotta know your person. If you're a person who can multitask, do it. Don't force yourself, because you're gonna fail. And if you fail and it's against your nature, you're gonna be miserable. You gotta find your niche. You gotta find your personality, your what your capacity. You don't want to push yourself against your capacity, because also you don't want to risk your health. Uh, and your health is very important. Your family life is very important. Um, and of course, money is important, but it's not, again, that comes with the passion that you do. And I know also, I would say, if you're starting out, don't let go of your day job. I know a lot of actors are like, I'm just going to become an actor right away, and that's all I'm going to do. No, don't do that, because you can come across as not desperate, but vulnerable. People, especially, there's a lot of predators, people who have a bad intention, who are also in this business. Again, it's a very muddy business. There's a lot of good people, there's a lot of bad people. Can take advantage of you in many ways, and especially if they say you're vulnerable, you have the stars in your eyes, and you're like, very innocent in many ways. People will take advantage of that. So if you have a strong family background, and you have a good solid job, it doesn't matter what job, but you have your bills paid, basically, you can easily say nope, and move on to somebody else. But if you don't have that, and you're like, this is the only thing that's going to pay me, I'm going to take it, even if I have to lower my standards, if you know what I mean, then you're going to be in a very bad direction, because any action you take leads to a direction. And so you got to have a vision. Like, what is your vision? Make those decisions that are going to reach to that vision. Loaded answer, I'm sorry, but
No, that
I'm
was
sure
good. That
stuff
was
in there.
good. What was that tipping point when you decided to? was it just the fact that someone said, "Hey, you should act, you should be in my film," or
Hmm.
was it like what made you start to write your own content and go, "Oh, I want to make this into a film"? What was that tipping point?
Yeah. So the tipping point was that I didn't see any romance happening in Washington, and I really wanted to be cast in something like that. And I didn't have an agent back then, and so I became my own agent. I became my own creator, and that's how it happened. And from there, I did get an agent, but I didn't have any reels, so I made my own reels. I'm like put my camera there. I'm like, well, I have a camera already, and it also does record film, so I put it there, and I created my own scenes, and I did edit with presets, and I made it look very cinematic and nice. So I did one where I'm like flirty kind of thing, hanging with my friends. I made another little scene where I'm crying, like actually crying, so it looks real because it was real. And method acting is kind of what I use, a little with imagination. And then I did another scene where it's almost like a serial killer fighting demons, kind of within my psychological thriller kind of thing, with a trench coat, kind of French woman. So I did those three plus one where I'm acting as in a photography commercial, which is really promoting my Lily Creativity commercial. So I used all those three, became short it, made it real within 30 seconds because that's usually the amount that you want to give to people. Put my name on it and literally spam every agent I could think of, and out of that, I got one person who was interested, and then I got a manager who was interested, and then then I started to do what is it improv, a lot of improv reels, because I'm making them up as I go, and I go into the personality, so it literally looks like it's an act, it's a role of something. And so yes, people were intrigued by it, and then I realized, I'm not the best liar, honestly, and that's really helps as an actor because, and I used to think I could be like, oh no, those poker faces, but I'm not, because you can literally see what I'm thinking through my eyes. You can definitely see my analytical brain going super speed right now, and that's really helpful when it comes to film. Sure, I have done a lot of acting in terms of theater, which is a different animal than film, because theater is more like, very emphasis, almost like cartoon, not cartoon, but like very body type, versus film is more like face and emotions, that grabs with the eyes. So again, if you don't put yourself out there, and I know this is going into a different direction, but if you don't put yourself out there, you're never going to know what you're capable of doing or what person is interested. And something that I have always said in a business mindset with my mom, which has helped me because she's a business lady too. She's like, there's always going to be a buyer. There's always going to be a consumer. Just put a product out there, no matter what it is, someone's going to buy it. So the same thing goes with this, put your video out there. Somebody's going to look at it. Actors are literally mimicking real life people. There's people everywhere of different types, and there's an actor for every different role. It's just getting to the right person. And so if you don't know what the right person is, you just throw it out there. Do a lot of social media improvs or whatever videos of yourself. If you're an actor, somebody's going to be always watching you, and then that person might know somebody else, like, hey, I just saw that girl or whatever, she looks good for this role. And then gravitate yourself with a lot of circle friends who are in the acting world, who are in the directing world. I'm not saying befriend or friend every casting director or producer, because that could also come across a little bit, I don't know, sometimes they get turned off by that. But surround yourself with a lot of actors, because those actors are also happen to be producers. So indirect direct kind of strategy. Yeah.
Good advice. So
Mhm.
looking at your journey now, what is
Yeah.
one belief about success in film that you held early on that you've completely
Oh,
changed your mind about?
yeah.
What triggered that shift?
Well, okay. So, first of all, success comes different for different people. Some people have it like Grammy Award or getting a lot of money, or being in the red carpet. For me, was two of them. One was, if I make somebody feel something, I already been successful, because at least somebody got touched by something that I would not have happened if I didn't do it. I try to create messages around my film. It is a way. It's honestly a very good way to evangelize or preach, if you want to use those terms, or to I don't want to say the word. What is it? let's just say that a lot of bad people have also used film to create agendas. So I'm doing the opposite, creating things that are the opposite to modify society in a better route, with family values. I'm kind of more going with the family value area, which we are losing a lot of that. Or youth, seeing things in a different way to kind of shape a better future, better society. So, I do a lot of that. So that's kind of my area of success. If I see somebody reacting to something in a positive way and I'm making a positive change in the world, think I'm already succeeding. And it's also, I think I also see it as a way of becoming immortal to some extent. When I die, at least there's a film of Lily out there, and people might not remember me, but they might remember the film, and they're like, oh wait, that girl was there. she wrote it, or she directed it, or she was in it. Then I'm like, okay, they remember me. That's good. That's still good. And then the other thing that also kind of like pushed me a little bit, again, the gold star, is I want to see myself, in the red carpet. Why not? Not, like, again, as a celebrity or as a producer director of this film, you get an award. And so, like, I really want to get that. And so I think I will. Because we are and it's not because I'm wishing, it's because I'm doing. I'm going to be submitting this. I am submitting, and I'm going to be submitting other films, especially Starlighting You. We're going to go big on that one, of course, in the US and international. And there's going to be a country who's going to want to show it more, and we're going to dub it in 2 languages and probably 3 languages if we go more. But if I see something, if I see people reacting to something strongly, it gives me more energy to push it even further.
So how does your husband feel about all this?
I have not asked.
You haven't asked. Did he go, like, how did he just became a prop and then just started to learn how to act? And then did you teach him how to act, or did you just
I do.
fell into it? You taught him.
I'm taught. So yeah, I do have my my acting coach, and so he teaches me, and of course I have a teaching personality, so I'm already doing that with him. But then things that I learned from my acting coach, I pass it down to him, and then of course my own personal interpretation that I know how it will make sense to him, because there's things that is just general template, and then things that goes very specific to your person. So it was really funny because I literally, when I write roles for him, I write them like, it's just you don't have to be anybody else. It's just like you happen to be the husband in a lot of movies. And so when he's acting, which is really funny, he's like, I'm like, why are you acting like yourself? You are yourself. He's like, oh yeah, okay. And so we practice, and I'm like, okay, it finally comes out right.
That is
so that's what we're starting.
Your kids are, I've seen that you have your kids in some credits too.
Yes. So yeah, they are mostly extras. The older one does have a few lines. He has done actually his first film on his own, which is really funny because when I started, I had all these. I was already in one short film, and I have like 5 or 6 feature films that I'm going to be doing within this year, but they're all pending, because like they're not until June, another one until blah blah blah. And but it's funny because my son beat me to it. He's done already his first feature before I did my first feature. And wow. So he was in an action film. He did have a few speaking roles in one scene, and another one where like there's a bomb. He's kidnapped and there's a bomb, and they grab him, and there's like gunshots happening. It's really funny because he's such a quiet introvert kid. He's honestly, he's really good at modeling in terms of like, he has the modeling face. That's where he's very good at. And again, this is more of for me, is an experimental for them because they are homeschooled. So this is an opportunity for them to be, again, around other people and extracurricular like activities, emerging talent. So as I'm putting him in different parts, obviously I'll pull him out if I see he's not enjoying it. But where I see that he succeeds very well, mostly he's really good at acting, but he just seems to thrive more in modeling versus the younger one. He's more of a character. He's definitely an actor. I mean, he just doesn't have really a model face. I mean, not saying he's handsome, but he doesn't have that look. Like, he has more of an actor look. Like, he's just goofy, and he loves to be in front of the camera. And the little girl, she's really small, but I think she's a little bit of both so far, seems like. But no, I do put them there, and then slowly, again, as I see which one is being more attracted to the acting world, I will be getting them. And they do have their agent. They're official with their agent, and they have they've been they have modeled before, and they're actually, there's a one of my contacts, which is a photographer, that did a fine art photography for her photography business. So that she's so part of her portfolio, and so one of them is in the cover of their Facebook, and they've also been in magazines, and one of them was in a cover magazine. So again, that's where I built their career, is through the magazine part, through the photography part, and then blending in where basically wherever my path is going, they're coming with me. And then eventually they'll say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, mom. I want to just be this, something else. I just want to be, I don't know, a construction worker. Sure, do that.
Yeah.
But at least we're experienced in something, you know.
Right.
And yeah, just kind of giving them those roles that I wish I kind of honestly, I wish I'd have had at a younger age.
That's funny. I have two daughters, so we're starting. The eldest is 6, so we're starting to get into that realm. But
That's actually the right age, because 6 years old is where most agencies will take. Anyone under 6 is very hard. There's one agency I know that does that, and also a lot more in Oregon, but 6 is the age. Yeah.
I have a nephew who, he knows I make films and everything. But I asked him what he wants to do. He says he wants to work on an oil rig.
Oh,
Now,
okay. That makes
and I
money.
told him, I said, by the time you get that old enough to even do that, there going to be robots, AI.
Oh,
How do
that's
you
true.
feel about AI in the industry and how it's moving?
How I feel about it.
Yeah.
You know, okay. First of all, there is a very strong negative connotation to AI. It's a tool. That's how I take it. It's a tool. You use it, and if you misuse it, that's where it's getting the bad reputation. I'm not against it, nor I'm like with it. I'm in the middle. I do use AI to facilitate some of my photography. Not in my photography, but for example, if I well, for weddings, I take like say 2,000 pictures. I usually do go hand by hand by culling them, but if I'm gonna use AI to cull out like all the blurry pictures or pictures that are like the same 4 times, I will use it, and then I'll go hand by hand and delete the ones that I like or don't like. So that's how I would use it. Or even in Lightroom, there's some form of there's AI in there. For example, if there's a random dude behind you, kind of creepy me, and he was not supposed to be there, you can just little lasso it out and remove it. That's using AI. If I use by hand, I can do it too. So again, why would I do something that is easy, easy to do when it comes to that part? In terms of changing like the subject, if it's going to be for graphic design or something, for posters, like for example, I will never change the face or the person. Like actually, that's part of my contracts for my actors. Got to protect the actors. Because there's a lot of abuse where people are using images of actors without their permission, and so we try to make sure that we don't do that for the acting world. And the same thing goes with my photography. But if I'm going to change, like say, again, ahead of time, like, can you send me a picture, so and so, whatever, and they do, of course I have to make sure that I do get a waiver if it comes from a different photographer, because you got to protect yourself with copyright. That's why I like to do my own photography. I do take pictures of all my cast, because those are the people that I'm going to be marketing, without any fear that later on, oh no, you accidentally used this picture without permission. It's my own photography. And again, also to put my photography staple in there. But yeah, I would say to an actress, like, if, oh, this shirt is red, I'm going to make it green. Is that okay with you? Instead of sending me another picture, I'll just change the color. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's how I use it for both. So I'm in the middle. I would say use it with respect, but don't, I don't know, people have had really bad experience and probably might not change minds, but yeah, some people, as soon as they see the word AI, even if your poster is AI for film, I discourage that a little bit, just because as soon as they see that, your investors are out. Most of them, and people public are going to be like turned off from that. So I would say to filmmakers, don't be cheap on that part. If you need a graphic designer, I mean, I'm not a graphic designer, but a poster designer, hit me up. I'll do it for free. I have to help you out. Sure, I'll collaborate for a credit, or get somebody else, but don't do AI just because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Not very well.
So Lilia, what are you working on now?
My feature, Starlighting You.
Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, there's a lot of it, but let's see. Let me show you the highlights. So this film, it's a film itself, of course, feature. There's a teaser that's going with this feature, and then there's a trailer that will go later on once we film the feature. So those are the 3 parts. We are doing a single Mingle event, which I'll be promoting in here. It is a fundraiser event that is going, it's a double thing. It's a cross promotion / raising money for the film. So every ticket that you buy goes for the film to make it happen. And then of course there's the marketing that comes with it, and that the publicity that every person who's taking pictures or enjoying the event, tag the film, because that's creating traffic there. And of course to our social media, we do have TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube fan pages. We have a merch online a store that goes with this. I'm kind of jumping ahead of time. That's actually one of my little niche here, because there's a lot of films, and I've done that with my other films. But what I see is that we wait until the very end, as in we as filmmakers, we wait until the very end once we're in distribution to start creating this marketing, all this stuff. I'm like, no, let's start from the very beginning. Let's just create it and then go really strong at the end. That way, we're already creating a brand as we go along. So we're starting with that. So the single mingle is really cool because it is what it is. The film is about a woman who, I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's a woman who's looking for her husband, and she has a dream and happens to find him on Catholic Match. And it is a romantic drama with a faith-based backbone, which is family values and support system. It is bicultural. It has the Spanish, Italian, Anglo-American. We have a Spaniard actors in there. We're hitting it to Spanish, to Spain and Mexico, Latin America countries, as well as the U.S. It's going to be a film that's going to be in both languages, and we're getting name actors for our leads, and 80% of it is Washingtonians. So again, hitting the local markets and encouraging all local businesses to invest in this film, because we do have a tax write-off. We are associated with a nonprofit, um, and and then there's perks to it. You get your money back eventually, and also you get shout outs on social media and the potential of being an extra as an actor, or a thank you in the IMDb credit. So it's going to be seen in so many ways. Like honestly, it's cheaper than just buying a promotion somewhere else. So you're getting that. With the single mingle, it's basically a red carpet experience. We're going to be having meet the actors and crew, as many as we can be there, and of course the founders, which is my husband and I, our love story, a little bit of that. It's in a wedding venue style in Seattle on April 11 at 3 p.m. to 6:30. We're going to have a ball dance instructor, so we're going to have like that dance, a fashion show. The dresses are going to be made gala event within the theme of the movie, so all sparkly, and they're going to be auctioned, as well as art that I'm going to produce and another designer who's going to produce. We have raffle tickets with 3 baskets, which are love baskets with that romantic sort of Valentine appeal to it. Free food, a free beer with your ticket if you buy it early, which is $65. You get all that really, and then you get like the backdrop of Starlighting You logo. You take pictures with photographers that we're going to have there, so that's the red carpet look. And a lot more stuff that if you want to know, you can look at. We do have that link and posts that are going around under Lilia Creativity, Lilia Starlighting You. Just Google Starlighting You on Facebook, you'll see it, and more that we're going to be promoting with our marketing, as well as social media. So this is another way of promoting this film, and then of course there's in the talks of doing a music video that's going the independent from the film, but part of the film, because people, when we see when we see a trailer, we as client, I mean not clients, as consumers, as we react differently as opposed to a music video. We have a different reaction to it. So it's kind of having different forms of reaction, different forms of marketing, because it reaches different types of audience. The audience for this, of course, is it's not. It sounds like it's just for women who are single, but it's not. It's for women who have been in toxic relationships, women who have been single and waiting all the time for the one, men who've been in relationships with the one, but they haven't really decided to become a husband yet. And then there's for men who are ready to find a wife and to realize what a wife material has, and not to let go of the opportunity when you meet her. So those are the audience target.
Did you say this is on next month, April?
The single mingle's in April, and we're going to start filming in September. So we have from April to August to raise funds. We are doing plate. Now, this is for a shout out for all businesses. In local businesses. I mean, I really want to help the local business because we see commercials that are usually done by, I don't know, like Walmart or like big companies, right? So So for example, we're doing place. What is it called? What is it called? There's I forgot the term, but it's placement. I forgot the name of it, but this is what it is. I'll describe it because I'm really bad with names. So, for example, if you are a local business or a franchise of a big business, let's just say Toyota, for instance. There's a scene where we have, an actor or a character that's driving, and so you want to promote Toyota. He'll be driving Toyota, so you're already getting that. You're already getting the name, and so so either you collaborate with us and we use your car for free, or you pay us and we are showcasing your product. The same thing goes with anybody who owns wines or beer, or especially a bridal boutique. Because there's a scene where the girl is going to be a bride, and so she's going to a bridal boutique. So we can go to your actual shop, and then the person who's in the shop, if you want to be an extra, you can be an extra in it. And of course, like if you pay us like whatever you want to invest, like $100 or whatever, we are showcasing your shop, your logo, and it's going to be seen. So again, it's highlighting all those little pieces. That's why we're filming this in Washington, which is honestly, Washington is one of the very expensive states to film. A lot of people do go to Canada or Prague or a bunch of other countries or states that are a little cheaper, and we are willing to stay here. So we are like asking, okay, well, we'll invest in this state. Let's have you guys come back and support us as well.
With the links in the show notes down below. And so you have Single Mingle, which is not just for singles. It sounds like you have couples can go as well.
Yeah, it is specifically for singles, but it is open to, for people who are, it's not just to find the one, but it's also a business marketing way of meaning. For example, if you are a person who wants to become an actress or an actor, or you are shopping for your next producer or director, as in me or somebody else who's there who is director, you're gonna meet those people there. So if you come with that intention,
Yeah.
and of course you get more perks out of it. So primarily targeted is singles people, but if they are people who are not single but are looking for that, of course we're not going to close the doors to them either.
So if you have any desires or passions in the film industry, show up. And then if you have any product placement ideas, if you want to
That's the word.
place
Yes.
your business in there, reach out to Lilia. Well, thank
Yes.
you, Lilia. I
No, no,
appreciate your time. And thank you for coming on the Downing Cut.
Yeah, thank you so much. I enjoy it. It's great.